it's been like in my brain what I want to do with the music, and making a living off it has never been the thing. I just wanted to do it and see what opportunities and people I'd meet. That was always, what community I could be a part of, and particularly on the Central Coast too. It's a fun challenge, like to be like, okay, people are waiting for something, and I'll start a riff, and I'm like, that is dog shit, but we have to commit to that because we've started. We're like, we're going on the wrong way street, and this motorbike came down, and he started yelling at us, and we looked around, and everyone, all these pubs had people dressed as like 18th, 19th century sailors, just like roaming the streets drunk, singing sea shanties, and a bunch of them just came out of the pub and started yelling at Ethan to reverse, because it was such a bizarre, like little like event, just having like a bunch of like pirates run out of the building and start yelling at you.
Pretty intimidating.
Yeah, he's like, "Arr, get out of here!" No, but it was, we just said, "Sorry, we're American."
Well, the dream is to train the AI model, so we don't have to do any of the interviews anymore. You can just chat to an AI model.
Yeah, and it'll just be will I still have eyeline? Will there just be a cutout of you, or will there be like a
sort of like a, the Apple Vision Pro setup?
Maybe. Yeah, I guess.
Cam and I are both wearing a pair right now, so I don't know.
No, I've changed my mind actually. I think maybe we'll go for like the Wii emoji. The Wii characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I could interact with a Wii emoji. I don't know about anything else. Wii, and just like bobbing up and down.
Yeah. We'll meet you at the bowling alley, and then we'll have a round of tennis, and then we'll have a chat.
And the Wii sports music is playing the entire time in the background. It's like it's like the intro that never fades.
It'd be so obnoxious.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast that I liked today on the way home, and like it's football related. Cam and I. Ben, are you a football fan?
I watch the football sometimes.
Okay.
My family are tragics, but
I was going to say,
the gene slipped me a little bit.
But I was listening to this podcast on the way home, and I really like their content. They just need to work on their mixing. Every time they're like, the intro is too loud and you can't actually hear what they're saying for the intro. But not only was it too loud this time, but they just had the whole 3.5 minute intro track playing out. Yeah. Well after the podcast started. Usually you get 30 seconds, and I was going, mate, I can't hear you. You know what I mean? I wish he was there so I could say, turn it down. But I was just in my car.
Going into your car, into your settings, adjusting this. Yeah. I'm doing that a lot, actually.
So, unnamed football podcast. Yeah. If you need a producer, Eamonn is available.
Oh, absolutely. I'm ready to take on another role. It's pretty quiet at Homebrewed, honestly. We don't have to do much.
We're working on these AI models.
Yeah.
So we only come in now for one in every 5.
They train themselves. You don't need to do much.
Yeah, we're just here like to top it up.
Get them direction. You're doing all right.
Yeah.
I find like that when listening to podcasts, I did a lot of catch up maybe a year or two ago of like podcasts of artists that I like. And there was a whole bunch from COVID like time and lockdown, and I was always over like, Zoom chat. And sometimes I didn't even ask them to record it properly. So it's just like, just, out of a laptop speaker, like, which I know we all had to do that at one point, but it's so funny. The interviewers would like always set up mics, and then the person getting interviewed wouldn't bother.
It's one thing that really, like, the content could be really good.
Yeah.
But if the audio is crap, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
We had this actually as well, and we can name this football podcast because it's now defunct, the former A-League official podcast.
Yes.
Now it makes a lot of sense knowing their financial situation. This was the official podcast of the league, and there was one guest who every week was clearly just talking into their computer microphone, and it's like, mate. Like,
or in the car on the phone.
Yeah. Like, we need to be better. This is the official podcast of the league, and you can't even get a mic for this person.
Mate, because there were 2 guys in Sydney, 1 guy in Melbourne. And then the guy in Melbourne got the mic, and the other guy in Sydney was suddenly over the phone.
They only had one.
And I was like bouncing it between each other. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was quite infuriating.
Saying that, I did a project. It was on the weekend, and I've given a bunch of my gear that I've slowly hoarded over the period of time. I gave a bunch to my friend, and then that was when I was having some beers with a couple of my mates, and we're like, we should record an EP tonight, just like as a joke. This was on Saturday. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And we had like a paddle at the Block and Tackle, like a paddle. We said every song should be a title of the paddle selection you've done. So it would be like Empire, then Shipwright, which is the name of the beers. All right, so great. We're on the buzz, and we ran back, and I'm like, I haven't got any gear. And so we just recorded into this. I've got this great interface, but I just recorded into this really crappy thing and into the laptop mics. And my friend's just screaming these lyrics that they're writing at, like, you know, off the cuff. And it's just ridiculous. And I got it sounding okay. I actually just got it sounding okay because I had to, like, master the crap out of it afterwards. Like,
you can fix it up to a level, but there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, I also don't mind it. I
bad.
actually really like bad recordings. I'm a big fan of explosive and kind of like dissonant, or not dissonant, that's the wrong word. Sort of sounds like you've dropped a computer style recording.
I was going to say, this whole story is the most Ben Jones story I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, yeah.
And in music, you can get away with that, no problem.
You can. Oh, yeah.
But if we held your mic on the other side of the room and then just up to the gain and volume.
I don't know if I'd forgive you for that. That would be nuts.
For a podcast, it's a bit different.
For a podcast, maybe, but for a beer-addled EP concept album made in 4 hours. And I was up until like 3 a.m. mixing it. I'm like, this is just weird, but it was.
So did you make the EP?
Yeah, it's out on our Bandcamp.
Oh.
Yeah, we called it Color. Oh, well, giving away the concept. The concept is these guys made an album, but they got executed by the mafia because it was the music was so mediocre, and that's the reason you'll never hear of this band again. So I made an Instagram account for it, so it's there as an Instagram account with like 2 videos on it.
And it will never be added to because they're dead.
No, the manager's still alive, so they might add a few more.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd the manager survive? Was it an inside job?
Maybe the manager was just not happy with this band.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the album cover, which we were like, my friends were leaving, we have to take it. It was like a photo at 11 at night, and I shone my high beams against like my gate, and we all like pretended we were about to be executed. And my friend Michael had the guitar pretending it was a gun, and that's the album cover. So you'll see it if you're online. It's pretty gnarly sounding and wild, and everything gets a bit off kilter, but it's so fun. The last song's really crap. It's really funny. Like we started, on the beer buzz, and it starts being interesting, and then as the 4 tracks go, it just gets more lazier and lazier.
I had to just finish it.
Yeah, just get it out and done.
I had the games equivalent of this over the weekend, just playing pool.
Oh, right.
We all rented a house and we're playing pool, and a few beers in, you're good, and then a few more drinks later, and
it's the precipice.
It's downhill.
It's the buzz.
You find your zone, and then you quickly fall away from it.
Yeah. It's fleeting, but that's beautiful. That's art.
You gotta ride that buzz for as long as you can, and then you watch everyone sort of drop off.
Totally. So what act was so we're speaking to Ben Jones right now, of course.
Yeah.
Famously of Trash Stash, also famously of Visor Guy.
Yep.
Was this a whole new act?
That was a new act.
And what are they called?
That was called Calabria. It's the Italian town where my friend's from. What friend's family is from.
And there's the Calabrian Mafia.
That's what I thought would be really tight. And it wasn't even meant to be. It was all on the go. Like, that concept works with that because it means the mafia killed this
It was
band.
a retrospective, linking everything together.
Yeah.
Like an
exactly.
English assignment in year 11. You're like, this is my visual arts, the creative visual art thing you had to do in English. And you're like, okay, I've gone black and white here because, and then
you
the
look at
blue
the
in this part, equates to this thing.
You're like, wow, he's a genius.
Yeah.
My partner Jay did exactly that with her major work. She's a very talented artist and has these like big things in her parents' house on the wall, and it's all these really beautiful artworks that are all one, and it looks awesome to look at. And she was like, I don't know what any of them meant. And then just before the end, I just made it all up, so they linked together, and I think she got really good marks.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that. Just equate it to like little points in the criteria and like really bend it. Yeah.
That rubric.
Yeah. Oh man.
So Ben,
yes,
you're here. You're in the chair. We've been talking over the last few weeks. We last saw each other at Cameron Smith's wedding, and you've been mentioning that you've got some stuff. some stuff in the works, and it isn't the album that you recorded on the weekend, the EP that you recorded on the weekend.
For
while
sure,
drunk.
we can promote that too.
We can promote that as well. But you're a busy man, and to give our listeners some context, we mentioned before you've got Trash Dash. Trash Dash has always done Trash Fest, which is like your own festival, effectively done in various places. Like always very. To me, you've always been really in a great way ambitious, but always done everything that you said you're going to do. So not only ambitious, I've got all these ideas, you seem to do them all. So when you say I've got things to promote, we find it very interesting to hear what they are, because they are all probably going to come to fruition. So the hardest working artist, at least in Kingcumber, but I dare say the wider Central Coast, Ben Jones, you with us now.
Definitely not the wider Central Coast. I'd feel remiss about that. But yeah, I'd say I'm the hardest working artist in insert my address, Kingcumber.
Do you have housemates?
No.
Do you have pets?
I have a pet.
Okay.
He is not hardworking. He is not a hardworking
I can
dog.
attest to that. We've done sort of family friend weekends away camping, and every other dog's jumping off the jetty into the water, chasing a ball, and Ben's dog's just watching him from the jetty going, what are you idiots doing?
It's silly.
He is the laziest border collie ever to live. That
Wow,
is for
and
sure.
a border collie too.
He's a border collie. He's mostly lazy, but then he switches on and goes nuts.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. You're scared boy of all new humans. But
Shout out to
Orca. Orca. Yep.
Shout out to Orca.
Totally. I thought you were about to say the breeder. I'm like, shout out to Naroff Breeder in Southern Highlands for such a good specimen of a dog.
But I want to start there, and I say start there as we're 45 minutes into this podcast. After
22 actually.
well, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, minus 5, whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
Feel free to cut any waffle that I waffle on.
No, there will be. In fact, we'll only leave in the waffle.
Oh, good.
We'll cut all the meaningful stuff out and leave in just the waffle, because that is the Ben Jones way.
That is the way I prefer things done. But where is the meaning?
You do have a residential address, which you have a home studio at. You said you recorded an EP drunk over the weekend.
Yes.
At 11 p.m, putting on your high beams, making a bit of racket.
Yes.
What's your relationship with the neighbours like?
So far, so good. I have a thing where I just mainly accept for on the weekend and another specific weekend that I record during the day. So that's, during the day. And also, I'm not a really big night owl. Aside from the other night, I kind of prefer to get up early and do all the work during the day, and they're out and about. Doesn't so far so good is what I'm trying to say.
And you've been there for a little while.
Well, I have been there for 6-7 months, and no one's. And I don't do it all the time too. And the neighbor from one of the sides is my best mate from one of my best mates from high school.
Oh, cool.
So that
helps.
Bizarre. That really does help. Sometimes you just go over and be like, "Hey man," we'll just sail over the fence. We've got a beer trade. I think I owe him 2, but we have a beer trade where it's come to the fence and we trade a beer, and he gives me something else, or a piece of fruit, which is a crappy trade.
Yeah, but you could be about to have your Arvo evening beer, and you pass him a beer over the fence, and he gives you a banana, and you go, you know what?
This is what I need.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're making me think about my health. But I set it up, and people who come over can attest I've changed it 3 or 4 times already. So now it's been dismantled again, and I'm resetting it up because I've got it in the living room area. There was an extra room, and I was trying to make it work where I isolated it all in there, then had a little control room near my kitchen, control room in inverted commas. And
cooking your spag bowl whilst giving directions.
Was all right, more high end. While cooking up
and
my
more salt,
fry.
right?
Yeah, more salt. I do all my mixing in the kitchen. But
very well done.
We've changed it up, but it still exists. So I'm just working out what to do because on a side note on the Trash Fest thing, I ended up because there was some key people who usually get involved with it. They couldn't make the date that I'd set for it, and there was a lot of things about venues, where to do it, and ahhing, and I'm like, okay, a lot of these people are keen, but I couldn't get the bulk or going. Plus, it was too short notice and stuff. So I ended up doing a smaller thing at the studio, i.e. my house, and I ripped my bed out of my room so we could make more room for this, like a little rave room, and I had the best freaking fun. So we started midday and then went mostly into the evening, way into the evening actually. It was pretty bad. I was trying to wrap it up, but it just kept going. But I want to do that again, but a bit more contained, like afternoon barbecue sort of band things, because I contained the band inside and I've got a yard, so had the barbecue outside and it was a really good vibe. So I might do that every couple of months instead, and put Trash Fest on a hiatus for like another year and a half, just so I can do the final one justice, because I only really want to do one more.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because there's only so much brain space I have.
Well, you've done 2 in the past?
How many have I done?
I mean, there were a few reschedules there, so it's...
No, I've done four. So we did... So yeah, 4. So
Have you tried?
like
I know there was a couple
5.
during COVID where it was like Trash Fest,
it kept getting shifted.
and I was like, okay, no, we're postponing it.
It was so annoying. So that's why I kept becoming like private events, or sometimes not, or like. So now I'm doing this thing. I'm trying to do this thing at my place, but I'm doing it in a way where I'll create like a Instagram page, which I could send to you guys with a website, and if you want to come to them, you just press going. So I know. Because it is my place, so I'm being a bit. I'm kind of being a little bit.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. But we make it really fun. We had a guy named Dialectic play. We had the projector going.
Oh, we know Dialectic.
Oh, he's unreal. Like it was sick. And we had Pilot Buffalo.
Yep.
And like Visor guy, and a guy from Sydney called Poncho Green played. This was like only last month, and it was out. It was unreal. I was really on the hush hush about it, because I didn't want to like people to storm my house. I just wanted to see. And what I could take
how it
there,
went.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I know what I can do with it. I'm going to keep doing them.
Yeah.
And talking about my neighbor, like before the event, I had like I left him a note saying, oh, look, mostly in the afternoon, all the loud noise, this is wild actually. This day was wild. I left him a note, and he looks like the sort of guy that would eat some jerky, so I left him some jerky.
I love that.
Yeah, and then I like kind of got home and it was gone, and I'm like, oh. And apparently he just went to his other place for the night, whatever. So it was all right.
Oh, what a guy!
Yeah, I don't know. He's an interesting. It's an interesting situation. I won't go into my living arrangement. How my house is next to his. It's kind of quite close, but also not. It's weird. It's like a granny flat. I don't for his privacy. I won't describe how he lives, but
dox him.
It's funny because I just see him. He's like a sort of dude that will walk past my house. To get to his house, sort of thing, but he's always wearing Hawaiian shirts with Elvis on it, and like jet black hair that's been dyed. Wow. Yeah, and I'm like, this guy's a character. I want to know, but also I want to keep him a mystery. I kind of don't want to talk to him too much because he's the Elvis guy.
Yeah. But, you've got your vision of him, and then that could be shattered by one conversation.
It could be shattered, and then I realize he's not an Elvis fan, and I'd be like, I don't know what to do, man.
What are you a fan of?
Yeah, what are you a fan of? But so I'm trying to do those sort of semi-private events, but sort of like bands can invite people in, sort of like a clubhouse sort of thing, like once every month or two, do it. I think the next one's going to be in September. I'll send it through how to do it, when I'm going to do it properly. I think it'll be mid-September.
And we'll publish it widely.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't know how to promote it if I'm trying to do it.
I know where you live, so I'll tell everyone.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I don't mind. It was fun in the end.
No, well, for privacy's sakes, we won't. More for Elvis guy than you.
Well, that's it. The rule is, because I made a little poster and it says, leave your dickhead friend in their lair. That's the idea. So don't bring your dickhead friend, and then we're fine.
And everyone knows who that friend is.
Yeah, everyone.
Like when they read that, a face comes into their head, and if it doesn't, then maybe it's you.
Exactly. It's like, oh, hang on.
Oh, shit.
Am I the asshole?
But if we can talk then about Trash Fest, born out of Trash Stash, your band. That's a band with Ethan who you referenced earlier. Yeah. Where do you want to start? Because Trash Stash exists. Visor Guy is your newer project, which has seemingly been more active lately.
We gig
you were doing a bit of fair bit of gigging. You were out in like Orange at one point.
We go to Orange. We do a lot of that. We've done Orange, do a lot of Tassie. We went to Tassie twice so far. So we went a couple of weeks ago. So like 3 weeks ago. did some orange stuff. We're finding the regional stuff's the funnest. I don't know why that is. It just is. Old man pubs making a racket. They seem to like us.
Is that with Ethan as well?
No, it's just me and a mate of mine called Paul. Named Paul. He's just a mate I met through doing like some live. Remember COVID? We did those like live stream sessions. He was like a camera operator on that. And
okay.
We hit it off, and he was a mate of my old roommates as well. So yeah, it was just one of those doorway things, and we just started running together, and like jogging around Sydney mid lockdown. We can only have your jogging partner, so I literally only saw him outside of my housemates and my partner at the time. Whatever it was, just him I saw. So we just sort of like ran around a lot. We would run to, I'm trying to remember, that's why I'm pausing for effect. St. Peter's Park, it's quite a prominent run that you'd do in Sydney, and this guy would overtake him all the time, and he wore a visor. And he would overtake him, and Paul would just get mad and just like try to run after him and like try to keep up with him. The guy was too quick, and he's always like, screw that visor guy. I'm like, he said it once. I'm like, I don't know why, that's funny. And so I said, we should call ourselves the Visor Guy, and we didn't want to think about it too hard. So we said, that's great. That's our band name. We just started jamming. And then people were like, that is the worst name. And I'm like, but every time someone told me it was the worst name, I just stuck to my guns. I'm like,
you liked it even more.
Same with Trash Dash. No one liked it. And I was like, I don't know why we're going to keep staying with the names that, I've got like, when you write down a mad list of band names that you've come up with, never use the good ones. It seems to be like, the crap ones that always just get used.
It's so subjective though, right? I like Visor Guy.
Oh, do you?
And it's like, what do you want out of a name? Do you want it to like sound really cool and mysterious? Or do you want it to be catchy and memorable in your head? Or do you want to be able to search it on Google and find it? For someone to come, that's the worst band name. This is what you reckon. Like it's the mass appeal. Is probably what you're asking. For.
I don't know. I don't think mass appeal Visor Guy. I don't think we've got that much mass appeal.
Yeah, Orange Pub says differently.
We've got that's it. Orange. Whatever, I can't remember what it was. Railway Pub or something says different. No, but I think the idea is it's so sparse and kinetic and fun and mostly improvised. Jamming, we try not to make it go too long. I'd like to keep working on that, because when you're jamming, you watch improv bands and you're like, this is freaking nuts, and it's like 15 minutes later you're like, okay, all right, it's still going, and it can go upwards of 20 minutes. We've done that before, and it's really, really gratuitous, and it's so fun, but then you're like putting people through it, it can be a bit much. So trying to find the balance is always fun, of like keeping it kinetic and peaks and valleys through like a 5-6 minute jam, because we've got no vocals to tie it together. It's just, it is a lot of like, you start, and then we'll find it, But it is a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun doing. The style is like getting interesting too, like sort of falling in place, because we tried doing. I tried writing songs for Visor Guy, but I wasn't happy with what I was coming up with. So I was happier when we were just making stuff up. So
is there more or less pressure on that because it's improvised?
So we practice. We end up having, it's a lot of pressure to start a song. So you get into the groove,
and just for the listeners here, you completely improvised music. Yes, there is never a plan. It is not written.
It would be a bit of a lie for me to say it was completely improvised, because we've got start of songs. That's all we have.
Yeah,
we've rehearsed starts of things. We're rehearsing more starts of things, so we have more material. But we rehearse the start of things because we can just go straight into it, because we know what the start of that thing is, and then we go our own way and.
Yeah, less downtime at the beginning of the song where you're trying to find it.
You're trying to find it, and you oh God, it can be like, I've tried doing things right off the cuff in front of people before, and you just freeze.
I can imagine.
But it's a fun challenge, like to be like, okay, people are waiting for something, and I'll start a riff, and I'm like, that is dog shit, but we have to commit to that because we've started, and then I'll find a way to, and then And the thing is, like, his sort of thing is, like, we try to inspire each other. So if like I'm doing a riff over and over and over again, he'll start to do something to indicate that he's going to start something different. So I should start something different. Like just because for the sake of everyone's sanity, do not keep playing that fucking riff.
Well, you're a bit like I guess the music equivalent of a stand-up comedian who does improv. They'll have their... They'll go, okay, if the conversation goes down the line of X topic, I have a joke that I can throw in. If I can get it to relate sort of thing. Like you might have a riff or an intro that you can use, but most of it is completely made up.
Once you get going. But also once you're in the thick of it, it's also important not to do the same riff over and over again, you know, and sort of inspire each other. Like if I change a playing style, he'll change because it inspires him to try something new. Then him playing something different will rewire my brain in that moment to try something new. And it's just a cool little way of, you know, communicating. Interesting. Like it gets better. Just like when you like hang out with people more and more, you know how to communicate with them better. Like when you're hanging out musically too, you sort of realize the rhythms you sort of fall into, and it becomes less daunting to play unrehearsed music to people. We did 2 hours nearly non-stop at Mona in Hobart, which is the...
I went to Mona and played at Mona. That's cool.
We've done it a couple of times. It's we kind of lean into that because it's just a stage, and you just... People are sort of walking by and they look at you like you're an art piece and they're like, oh. But this one in particular, we tried to be a bit more... Because we can be an onslaught a bit too much sometimes, like too much noise. So we try to bring it back, peak and troughs and stuff, and add a little bit more dynamic to it. So people would stop and watch you for a little longer because you're going a bit quieter. And then all of a sudden I have this pedal that freezes the root note and you just play under it. But the volume is so temperamental. So I'll hit the note and it will be like speaker bustingly loud. And I have to keep up with that noise and turn everything else up just in the moment. So I love noise and stuff, but you can watch people just going like oh my God, and sort of walking away. And I love that.
It's very Mona.
It is. Oh, like people walking past and going, like getting a bit offended, or people walking past and just getting enthralled and staying the whole time. It's like really, really cool. Yeah.
Do you ever have like improvised something so good that you're like, hey, we need to record this?
Yeah, that's what's the next steps. We've got a couple of things that have been repeated motifs and repeated things. It's like we're going to record that. But you know, again, we're instrumental, so we, you know, mainly our documentation so far has just been filming all of our gigs, and we'll just cut them up and make little skits and stuff out of it, and like funny little bite-sized things. If you go into our Instagram, it's like just crap posting central. It's just it's just everything. It's just like all this crap. It's just a load of crap. But it also shows you a little bit of what we do musically. Mainly, we just want to laugh as well.
Yeah, I'm so interested in your like the foundation from which you as an artist and a musician have grown, because every project of yours, like, and I'm sure those listening who have heard from the start would know by now, it has this chaos. Like that's like a central part of like even the EP that you described on the weekend. Trash Dash had it, Visor had it. It's noise, it's loud, and it's chaotic. But you, in your own right, are obviously a very talented musician, and you pull it all together. Is that like an artistic ideology? Is this like a belief of how you approach your art, or is it just this is Ben and this is how I produce art? Because it's very unique. I don't think that there's many people, I don't know about you, Cam, that I can compare you to, or I think make music in a similar way.
That's a great compliment for me. Thank you. But yeah, thank you for noticing that too. I mean, like I've written stuff that is like, I'm kind of in the vein of not crazy and nuts and sort of like I don't know what we'd call disgruntling ugly music that I can easily fall into a lot, or like the sort of more raw stuff that I do with Ethan, like the raw bluesier stuff is always going to be there. But we're sort of, for that project in particular, we are reeling stuff back. We've got the stuff that we've recorded. There's actually a song that's going to be released this week. But the latest stuff with Trash Dash, I'm trying to be more reserved, kind of a little bit more inward writing stuff. We're constructing songs a lot more like proper musicians. Crazy. But more sort of like inward facing songs, like kind of trying to get a little bit more real with what we're doing rather than just making it a big party of blues noise sometimes. So things are definitely changing in that direction. I guess comes with maturing a little bit more. So there's actually some songs that I'm quite happy with, and more in the vein of like Neil Young with a bit more Dinosaur Jr.-y direction. But I guess with that stuff, like I'm kind of happy to keep pushing it in that direction, like cleaning up the production a bit more, writing about stuff that, is important, I don't know, just taking a second and not writing, the usual carnage that we usually do, because that side of my brain is totally occupied with the Visor guy. It's like, it's like being filled. I love the idea still, though. I'm always recording demos and stuff, and I can't handle it if it's too clean. Like, I need to run interference on my own music, otherwise it just doesn't. I don't know where that comes from. I'm a big fan of like Steve Albini's recordings. Like he's in a band called Big Black and Shellac, and those songs are like amazing. But there's something about it that he like purposely, he was a stellar producer who produced Nirvana and like all these quite popular bands, and he was like a renowned engineer. But in his projects, he would just run interference on his own music. It's just interesting. When I say run interference, there'll be like ugly tones, there'll be things that are like squally, just like a little bit off, just to make you feel uneasy. Or I don't necessarily want people to feel uneasy, but I like to introduce some raw elements into what I do. Otherwise, it doesn't feel like I'm being honest or something. It's chaotic to make music, so I wouldn't mind showing a little bit of it.
And so you are still making music as Trash Dash?
Yeah. So we definitely are, and we've been working on some stuff like recently. We've got a gig this week, this Friday at the Lincoln Bin, opening for Suede Effect and Madam Sandler. So cool. That would be so fun. I love those two bands. But we'll play more of those newer stuff. Just like there are a lot more Neil Young-y. I keep going back to Neil Young in my head because he does that thing where he writes just amazing songs, but keeps it a little bit dirtier, real sort of thing. So I like to be that side of thing with Trash Dash at the moment.
Okay. Because I saw on your Instagram that you said you were going to you were sort of dedicating that page to being a record label.
Oh yeah, that's still
something along those lines. So.
I'm using that page still to promote the other stuff I'm doing, like with Visor Guy, and if I do little side projects like the one I did on the weekend, I'll just put it on there. Or just to promote some more of the stuff I do, because I have like this like Argyle project that I have going where it's just stuff I come up with that doesn't make it onto Trash Dash or anything else.
Prior to Trash Dash, wasn't it? I remember you mentioned that when we interviewed you.
Yeah, it was, and then post as well. I noodle around with it here and there. So there's that I'll just throw it up. Like, it's just marketing and music. Like, it's kind of difficult, especially when you've got just this output thing where it's like a multifaceted and it's sort of everywhere. It's hard to decide if you're going to make a page for everything you do or promote it, email, radio stations every time you come up with a freaking idea or something, or is it better just to throw it up there on Bandcamp and promote it on my band's page, and if you're interested, it's there. If not, I don't really mind. It's important for me to catalog and archive stuff that I do. So like for me, if me and my friends have made a song at 11 o'clock at night after consuming too many beers, it's important for me to archive that in a semi-public space, because you get surprised. People will like email you saying, "Oh, I like that," from somewhere you wouldn't expect. And that's the biggest compliment. I don't really care about, reaching so many listens on Spotify and stuff. It just exists in the public space as like a bit of an archive thing. So, there's a piece of this Central Coast carnage there, and they can listen to it if they want. I mean, that's how we got our shows in the UK, was because someone listened to it, the Trash Dash, and they just found it on Bandcamp, and they said, "Oh, I like this, I'll play it on my show." And then I contacted them when I was over there and said, "Can we organise some shows while we're there?" And we just, that sort of thing is why I do music, not necessarily to get out there too much, like as in not necessarily to get, the Spotify plays and get on the important playlists and do the the thing you're meant to do because I don't know, I don't feel the need to. So yeah.
So,
but yeah.
The international shows. First of all, how did they go? And secondly, the process by which you found your way playing in England is the same thing what got you down to Tassie to play at Mona?
Because you just ask.
Mona, which is the Museum of Old and New Art, it's down there in Tasmania. It's the plaything of a very, very rich person, but it is a like very important piece of Australian art infrastructure, I guess you could say. Always, it's hosts Dark Mofo Festival and up until recently had Mona Foma, the festival as well, with the music festival, which is just cancelled. So when you say you played at Mona, it both makes perfect sense, but also seems like, how did you get to play at Mona? Because that seems like a coveted spot within Australian arts.
I think it is, but I just ask, you just email them, and they'll eventually get to it. I don't like the idea of having to ask permission to do these things. There's certain things you can do yourself, like contacting promoters. A lot of the time, you're not going to get responses, and I feel like for what I want to do, my aspirations isn't to do certain like strides that I just want to keep playing. So to be able to do that, I don't really need to be in too many circles. I can just email promoters or email venues, and you know, got to be a real punisher. And it's like, did you guys see my email? Hello. It's like, don't ever contact me again, sort of stuff. But my point is, I just like to contact people myself. And the guy who contacted us, he was from Cornwall. He said, I really like your band. I'm like, oh, cool, thanks, man. And I found he was in a band. So I was like, can we do a show? And so when we went to England for our wedding, I was the best man for a good mate of mine's wedding. We just grabbed their instruments. We asked them what sort of gear they had there, and so we could just bring bare minimal stuff, and then just went over and did it, you know. May as well. You know.
So the British show came about, and how was the reception over there?
Oh, it was so fun. It was a really fun. We had 2 booked actually, and then we got to Bristol, and the venue wasn't even freaking open. I was like, what? We got there. I was like, imagine if like this was a proper thing. I'm like, what? He's like, no, sorry, we're shut for the day, or like we didn't confirm this, so we're shut. It's like, you did confirm it, but you know. So we drove to Bristol. And the show didn't even happen, but it's okay.
So how was your evening in Bristol?
Yeah, the Bristol evening was still fun. We just went around the pubs anyway. But our evening in Cornwall, where we played the show, was in a little town called Falmouth. Falmouth? Yeah.
Falmouth.
Where they do all the sea shanties, which is a sea shanty festival. And we were there for that. And we played a show on the same night as the Sea Shanty Festival.
Say that 10 times quickly.
Sea Shanty Festival. We got there, and the person at the hotel was like, "Are you here for the Shanty Festival?" And we're like, "No, what's that?" And she told us what it was, you know, because it's like a port town where all the, you know, traders and stuff, all the, you know, the trading company, the big one, and the whatever, all the big ships would go around that area. It was like a port town, and so they had a shanty festival on. Then we played our show, which was great. It was like a little like underground venue, and they didn't even have I remember my distinct thing, which I thought was amazing. They didn't have like proper PA speakers. They had like household, because the venue was like amongst like these apartment buildings, so it looked like just like big like. In amongst a big apartment building was this little venue. So they couldn't be too loud, but they were. And they had these 2 like speakers that you'd have next to your TV, like the big like sound bars.
Oh, yeah.
And they were the vocal speakers. So it was so distorted and it was so gnarly. It was great. It was so amazing. I was picturing
just like 2 UE booms.
Oh, yeah. Virtually, but I thought it was great. I thought the place sounded awesome. And like we just used their amp, and I had this like little adapter for my pedals. I'm like, this better work. You know, it was really fun. But we got out, and you know, it was a bit of a mosh, and it was a good time. And the band after us played like Smoko as like a, you know, as an amendment for like, or as a nod to Australia. It's like, you know, it was a really, really fun night. Made a lot of friends and contacts and stuff. And then we left, and Ethan drove us out, and he went down this one-way street where all these pubs were on, but he realized he was going the wrong way. And we're like, we're going the wrong way on the wrong way street. And this motorbike came down, And he started yelling at us, and we looked around, and all these pubs had people dressed as like 18th, 19th century sailors, just like roaming the streets drunk, singing sea shanties. And a bunch of them just came out of the pub and started yelling at Ethan to reverse, because it was such a bizarre, like little like event, just having like a bunch of like pirates run out of the building and start yelling at you. For
pretty intimidating.
Yeah, it's like, "Arr, get out of here." No, but it was, we just said, "Sorry, we're American."
Move along.
Yeah. It was fun.
And then back on home soil, this Friday you said, so Trash Dash single.
Yeah, some stage this week.
Some stage this week. And then you've got a gig this Friday, which will be several Fridays ago by the time this is.
Yeah, we're not 100% sure when this is. You'll be hearing this. So this is either way, they've already happened.
Yes.
The single is out and the show has already been played.
The show was amazing. Thanks, guys.
Yes, fantastic. You said that it's a deviation from Trash Dash previous.
Some of them, some of the songs. We'll still play the hits. Don't worry, mate.
And with the track that you're releasing, what's the roadmap?
Very much in that vein I was telling you about, the sort of Neil Youngy, sort of a bit more twangy vein. I'm getting into B suburban a lot more lately, so around going in that direction of like that, not like 80s, 90s Australian alternate country rock and all that stuff, and the Cruel Sea and all that sort of vein. I'm getting into them. Just like, I like those guys because the production was like always amazing, but they still brought the goods. Like it was still like, you could still smell the beer in half those albums, but the production is so good. So just aiming in that direction. This single is not that. It's more of a cassette style, like, 2-mic singer-songwriting thing. But it's like, it sort of gives you an idea of the direction we're going into. Yeah. I got my mum to draw the art. Well, actually, no, she drew the art first because she's a very talented illustrator. And then I said, "Can I use that?" So, it's called An Old Game. That's the song that's coming out this week. Yeah.
Cheers to Gabby.
Yeah, cheers to Mum. She likes the song, so that's the important bit.
That's good.
If your mum likes the song,
And she drew the artwork as well.
She drew the artwork. Pre-song drawing, but yes, she did.
So, what do you find more enjoyment out of, the playing or the production of music?
Playing. I like being experimental, but I don't like recording. Sorry, I like to sit down and record and try things and learn all the new stuff, and slowly doing some little tours around the studios that are around here on the Central Coast and looking about how people actually do it, which is like amazing. And I work in television, so I'm often going and looking at how they do stuff. They've got the desk there that they use to mix all the promos and all the television ads and stuff that go out there. So I'll try to pick my head in there and learn as much as I can, just sponge it all in. But I like to sit down and do that, but it gets to the point where I hate working on a song more than 2 days.
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm ADHD. I don't know what. I don't want to say that because I haven't been diagnosed, but it just sitting down and going overthinking things and production things and working on songs. Some people are amazing and can do it and just like labor over a song for weeks, months, perhaps even years. That's just I get like that makes me stressed. I prefer to play live because once it's done, it's done. You can have a killer show and you can have a crap show, and it's like doesn't matter. Like it's done. And
if you're not writing any music for your Visor guy stuff, then you're not sitting down and stressing about that. You're literally just doing the enjoyment and the fun of playing the show.
Yeah. And
then you're like, cool, on to the next.
We've got 3 live albums, I think, for Visor Guy, because we just record field recorders or just put something. We got some stems back from Mona though, and I think they're letting us release them. Cool. I had a mate like mix it and produce it for us because I was like, this is so much. I'm like, this is so much music, and like I don't like to listen back to the Visor Guy stuff because I can only hear the mistakes I've done. So I gave it to my friend Cam, who's my old housemate, and he has a project called Talk Good, So he's really, really talented at just working on stuff, and mixing things, like at kind of the antithesis of what I was saying before. Just he can really like know what the song needs and like labor on it for a while. But he's already spat out a mix and it sounds freaking incredible. I'm like, oh wow, that's us. I didn't expect that. I would not have done, like, he's done some really crazy stuff with it. So I'm just triple checking that they'll let us use it. I think they're all good with us using it, so that will probably be released.
That's
90%
exciting.
sure.
That's exciting.
I think it sounds really good. So, but that's, he said humbly.
but you want to, right?
Yeah.
Because you're an art, like we were speaking to characters a few weeks back, and they were saying they're their own biggest fans. They love the music they make, and you want to love them.
I know.
And there's two sides to the artistic coin, right?
Yeah.
Because some artists are their own worst critic and hate every single thing they do after it's been existing for a week, and others really love what they do. But you should probably love what you do.
Should, yeah. I'm definitely 50-50. Particularly the one last night, I mastered that. Because I mixed it, or last night, when I say last night, on Saturday, I mixed it and then mastered it out, like, in the morning. And I listened to it today in the car and I was like, oh, that's a choice. But I wouldn't change it. I'll never change it. If it's there, it's there. I'm not George Lucas. You don't need to go back and change stuff. It's fine. you know.
It's on the record.
It's on the record now, which is like another point to, I'm a big fan of Ian MacKaye. Got his record label, which is Discord, and their whole thing is just to document the DC punk and hardcore into everything as well. They've just got this huge catalog. It's just a simple website, and they've been doing it since the 80s, and they've been making a living off it just purely because they're just documenting what they and their friends do. That's all they wanted to do, and it just inspired everybody, from all around America to here, and to now that's all like people's like whole musical careers is just built off just like wanting to document what they do, sort of thing.
That speaks again to the core of, like, that's what I was asking about before, because you seem to have a refined artistic philosophy, and whether it's very conscious or not, everything you do has this philosophy to it. Like there are principles amidst whatever chaos or lack of chaos there may be, and there's principles to how you make music, how you release music, and what you do with it afterwards, and how you play live as well. So, as an individual, is that something that's been conscious for you, or is that just the kind of artist that you've developed into?
I'd like to. That's a good question. I mean, it's I have to think for a second. That's a very profound question. I guess I don't know. I think it's just development. Definitely, it would be the sort of thing I've developed. I feel like it's been like in my brain what I want to do with the music, and making a living off it has never been the thing. I just wanted to do it and see what opportunities and people I'd meet. That was always, what community I could be a part of, and particularly on the Central Coast too. But it got refined over like listening to key figures in the music industry, both in Australia, people I'd met playing, and just friends and like people I've worked with. They'll tell you something about like something like their philosophy about creating, and I'll be like, that makes sense to me, and I'll follow that. If it doesn't make sense, I wouldn't do it. If like, for instance, like Steve Albini, listening to what he does, and John Dwyer, who's from the OCs, and he's just sort of a Renaissance megalomaniac dude who just makes all this amazing music. Some of it not amazing, but you're listening to some of those points of views. I go, that's what I've been trying to say, and that makes sense to me. But yeah, so it's just been developed, I'd imagine, just through hanging around certain people, also like friends as well, just how friends are, and like you get inspired by what they're doing and how they are, so I guess it's just it's definitely been influenced for sure. I'm pretty easily influenced. If I like something, I'll like obsess on it. So even with like that sort of stuff. So Yeah, I don't know. I guess to answer your question, it definitely would have been built up through experience and will continue to be, I reckon. Yeah.
And then we can see where the philosophy is.
At the end. When I'm like, what is the philosophy? I don't know, I just want to make stuff, man.
Well, you'll have a whole catalogue to go along with it.
No, exactly. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I think I just want to do it. Really. I really can't articulate why I do it. It's just like, it has to be done. Also, just being on the Central Coast and being a musician is extremely exciting at the moment. So I don't mind not having like a hit or being on one of the playlists where we've been saying, or like, it just to be amongst something that we have here is just like a privilege. We've got just so much cool stuff at the moment, particularly like I call it like those custard core guys, I call it, which is like Turtle Custard, the Shacked Boys, Ruby Archer and the Madam Sandler, and there's one a new what's there? I think I'm missing out on a few others, to be honest. And there's they've got another project. Some of the guys from Turtle Custard and Madam Sandler. What's it called? I'll Suppress the Grump. I'd get around to checking that out. And like obviously the Pile of Buffalo and man, it's like what?
Yeah, that whole scene.
It's incredible. Yeah. Like, and they're young. They're like kind of keen. Like they're recording out. Like talk about prolific. They're all recording albums out the wazoo. It's like, oh, we're working on this. We've got this thing coming out. A single.
And they're
for this
still in
next
high
week.
School. It's
yeah, they're just. I think they're all.
Yeah.
Like they're all just finishing, or they're out of high school. I'm like, they're like, I'm doing this and doing this, and it's like, well, today I made a ravioli, and that was the highlight of my week because I never thought I'd make a ravioli. But they're just insanely.
My wife made potato bake. I was like, this is a game changer. We can have potato bake with every meal.
Potato bake is a game changer. That's true. But there is so much, and I did want to ask about that specifically, like what your take is on the burgeoning scene here on the Central Coast at the moment.
Pure bliss and excitement to be even half a part of it. Like I don't know. They're doing so much stuff like that sort of scene. And they do these community jams that they've been organising. They call it like the Mega Jam, which is happening every month, and they have like I think it's at the Fun House or something in Gosford. I went to the first one.
Noodle Fun House.
Yeah, Noodle Fun. Yeah, and they're doing those, and they're recording live sessions and stuff. There's all this cool thing that they're doing.
That whole scene on the coast with them and also Lincoln Pin as well have been such massive enablers of, I guess, unearthing that scene.
Again, because they're so, they let whatever. Like the thing with Lincoln Pin is they just don't care. Yeah. They just like, what do you want to play? It doesn't matter. Just go do it. It doesn't matter. There's no real soundy there, which can be fun because you have to sort of mix yourself, and everyone has to learn how to be autonomous. So it's such a learning curve. It's like you have to learn how to use the mixer to an extent, learn what the levels are, ask people in the crowd how it is, and then it's such like a community sort of thing. And the people there are amazing. It's so fun.
And they've got, as you said, like your bluesy stuff to your more grungy, heavier stuff to Dialectic played there, who's an electronic artist with no lyrics.
Yeah.
Like it's
and Dialectic played there too, and like you just everything. They don't give a toss
as long as there's live music, which is awesome.
Live music. And my favorite is like when the punk, like the hardcore punk guys, they'll always play there, or like just punk bands in general will play there. It's like, this is the time I can turn up because they don't really they do have noise restrictions but they just turn up, and I know they do it so loud because every time I go to the Lincoln Pin, they've got a mixer there, and every channel will have like an X over it. Like they keep blowing channels. Like, and now I don't know what they're up to, like free usable channels, because people just like, hell yeah. And they really rip it. And it's great. It sounds good. It's a good sounding spot. Actually, I like the sound that comes out of there. I think that's another thing, talking about, importance of documenting a scene. It would be great if that whole thing was documented properly. Like this, like recorded, maybe some live, I don't know, live field recordings of all the sessions they have there and stuff would just be, it's important.
We've had backroom conversations with no money to do something of that, of what you're mentioning there.
Oh, really? Yeah.
The other day I was in at Darren Seafood, famous Wombrel seafood place, getting some lovely fish to cook for dinner. Local artist Foley, who some may know.
Yep.
She was in there serving, and I was chatting to her, and we were talking about how good the hardcore scene and the punk scene on the coast is as well at the moment. You've got bands like Jan and Dead Shows just absolutely tearing it up. And Cam and I have just spoken. There is just so many things happening at the moment that would be really, really cool to capture.
Yes,
at the moment, and there's multiple scenes. You've just whole. What did you call it?
I called it custard core.
Custard,
I don't know if they like me calling it that, but I'm calling them. They're calling it custard core.
The custard core scene, the hardcore scene, and then everyone else in between. I mean, an artist that we will be speaking to. I'm not sure who lives on the coast. Oh, he does live on the coast. Is Coma as well, and
he's in the hip hop rap scene.
And the other artists who I cannot remember. Scrax.
Yeah.
I think as well. He's in it too. There's just a lot more going on than I think people ever give it credit for, or people are aware of.
Yeah. I'd like to know, who's in the hip hop scene on the Central Coast. That's a scene I haven't, or a realm of music I haven't heard much here specifically.
Yeah, they put on a big hip hop rap show at Drifters last month.
Was it all local stuff, or is it like people coming in from out of town? Or
I think it was
mixture of both.
Yeah. I'd like to see that. I think Foley also she produces what are they called? Acts of Insanity. Have you heard of them?
No.
And Gnarly. They're like a metal, thrash metal band. They're tight. It's scary though. But they're the most beautiful human beings if you go up and talk to them.
Always the way with metal.
Yeah. Oh, but you look at them, I'm like, oh, crap, you would terrify me. It's like, this is like a guitarist guy. He's like, you look spooky, and then you talk to him. He's like, oh man, you're the nicest gentleman I've ever met. It's like, but on stage, it looks like he's gonna kill you.
Well, that's the power of art. There is so much going on.
Definitely, yeah. I feel like I feel like that's similar. Us sometimes we can get intense, but we're really goofy on stage all the time. I couldn't go to that dark place. I don't think.
With Visor Guy, you're wearing visors on stage too, like the high vis, colourful.
Definitely, yeah. Paul's
visor.
got a new visor that he's fashioned out of a giant hat that's huge. Had this rim that was like, I don't know, 30 centimeters wide. I don't know, that might be over exaggerating, but it's huge. And then so he cut the top out of it, so he made a giant visor. If you watch us play, he wears it all the time. It's his custom visor. I wear visors, but they come off within 5 minutes. I
do wonder about the original Visor Guy and if he was aware of the ripple effect of his running and where it has led the journeys of Paul and yourself.
Yeah, I was hoping it's his birthday soon as a surprise, but I haven't.
Visor Guy's birthday or Paul's birthday?
I'd love to know when Visor Guy's birthday was, but it's Paul's birthday. But I was hoping to find him I was hoping to find the Visor Guy, right? Because we know he runs around, but I was hoping to intercept him one day and have him like sign something for him, or sign like a hat,
sign a visor,
or write a little message for him. But I just can't be that creepy to wait for a specific man like in the park. Like I feel like that's a bit much, but it would be great.
It really depends on the person. I think I like to think I'd receive it well if I was the runner. Like I think that'd be funny, but you'd have to have some implicit trust that what this man who's emerged from the bushes was telling you was real.
Your only problem is if you're interrupting him mid-run.
Yeah,
he could get annoyed with that. So you need to track him to the end of his run.
Oh, so I should follow him home?
Presumably. Yeah. Follow him home. But like, because I'm picturing someone, if he overtakes Paul every single time you're out on a run, he's presumably very fit and very quick, and running is his thing. So if you interrupt the run, that's when I worry about your safety.
Yeah.
Not knocking on his house and being like, I followed you home, that's fine.
That's true. But the thing is, if he's running back to his house, I'm not going to be able to keep up with him. So I have to be in a buggy.
Get one of those electric scooters or something.
Yeah.
Just cruise next to him. Hey, sir.
Hey, stop.
Do the Captain America on your left.
Oh, thing. Yeah. Little wheelie.
You're the support car. You know, like whatever, you're carrying water for him, whatever. Just I'm here to help you, bro. Just also need your sanitizer, please.
Water refreshment or something along the way, like the Tour de France.
And those Trash Dash Visor Guy fans out there will do the same.
Yeah, so they should.
For you.
They should also, I don't know. Check us out on all the Instagram.
Yeah, I was going to say, so plug everything that you've got.
Yeah.
I know, so centralized Instagram account, but also upcoming gigs.
Yep.
And events and plans.
Oh, well, to sum up our beautiful conversation, we have the Visor guy is just best to follow us on Instagram just to know roughly what's going. We're always playing shows. I think we're going to have one in Leichhardt maybe in late August or early September, I think. That's the next one. We're taking just a couple of weeks off because we've been playing so much lately. But that will resume soon. Trash Dash has a bunch of new music coming out this year, and the first of which will be this week. I don't know, last week when this comes out, I suppose.
Some week.
So a week.
A week.
It'll be
in the
out.
Past.
It'll be coming out in 1888.
It has existed.
So that's new music coming there. I've got this sort of like clubhouse event thing that I'm doing every 2 months. It's hard for me to promote properly, but if you go through the Trash Dash Instagram, you'll find out how to come to that as well. And
Or DM me and I'll give you Ben's address.
that's it. That's fine. Or just go straight to Cam. He'll tell you my bank details,
I've got everything. Social security
everything,
number. Should we do them over here? Is that just America?
Yeah, I do.
Secret answer.
Secret answer. Yep. Yep.
I know your mum's name.
Yep. So who's your favorite Beatle? Just got that. And also just on the Instagram page of Trash Dash, we're always promoting all the weird and wild side projects, the one-off bands.
So we'll
crazy
try and
stuff.
fit all that into the show notes, but we do have a word limit for what we can put in the show notes. So
Just go Ben Music. Ben Ethan Music.
Description, Ben Ethan Music.
No, just mainly the two Instagram pages.
Yeah.
That's where you'll find anything that's coming up. I definitely will do a final Trash Fest, I think, probably next year, some stage. I wouldn't mind finishing it on a bang.
Yeah.
Somehow.
And what was cool about those two was that it wasn't just music. You were having local cinema and local art and a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them too. But the two big ones that we did, the naming convention of Trash. If you don't know, I'm a very confusing person. But the naming convention of Trash Fest is really confusing because I skip a number because the second one was cursed because I couldn't get it off the ground, so I skipped and went to 3, and then I could get it off the ground. I couldn't get 4 off the ground, but when I went to 5, I could get it off the ground. So we've got this every second number.
No wonder you couldn't remember how many you'd done.
Yeah, that's also the confusing bit. Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled for Trash Fest 9
I'm just
coming
going to call
in 2025.
I think I'm just going to call it final. Maybe I should put 9.
This is like when you're mixing a song and it's like final, and then it's like final brackets, this time for real.
Final copy of final V1.
That's right.
Yeah. But all that can be found on the Insta pages and all the stuff that's coming up. But just thought I'd just stop by and say hello, mate.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's been a blast.
Oh, thank you. Sorry I waffled for half of it and just
That's what we do.
talked about chickens and running and
That's fine. I look forward to
But
editing
not Chicken
it.
Run.
Oh, actually, I'm going to close on a funny story about Chicken Run, though.
It's a TV
have-
show. Aaron, just so-
Oh, wait, not the movie?
The movie,
I've
Chicken
seen
Run.
Okay, is there a separate TV show?
Is there a TV show
No, I
about
don't
Chicken?
think so.
No,
Okay,
it's just,
okay.
there's
I
a
have-
new Chicken Run out. This is coming back from... This is not even my story. It was coming back from Hobart. We were leaving and we're putting our stuff through. Obviously, both of us, because we're shifty-looking musicians, got pulled up for security check. And they put Paul's bag through. And to preface this, we had been to the markets, the Salamanca markets, that day. And it went through and it kept buzzing. And she's like, "What have you got on that?" And he just recited it. And she's still unsure of what's being scanned. It was something weird looking at the top, boxy. And then she's like, "Can you open it up?" And he opened it up and he pulled out a VHS of Chicken Run that he found at Salamanca markets. And she just looked at him I was like, "What have you done?" It was so funny. Both of us are pulling crap out of our bags and she just gets Chicken Run out and just looks just so bewildered.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, well,
I missed that episode of Border Security.
Yeah. Oh, imagine that. It's like, what is this? I swear it's just Chicken Run on VHS. It's like, why do you get that? It's just like, as if you wouldn't get Chicken Run on VHS, I suppose. But
I probably would get Chicken Run on VHS if I came across it, but they probably wouldn't be used to seeing that in the scanners anymore. No one carries
the
VHS
new tech
anymore.
is like VHS.
Yeah, it's like, what is this? This is some analog technology I do not recognize. Yeah. Oh, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Chicken Run.
Chicken Run.
Final.
Chicken Run Final.
In the show notes.
Ben Jones.
That's it. Chicken Run Final. The two Instagram links and a whole plethora of crap will come up.
And we'll find a pirated, ripped version of Chicken Run that's streamed online. We'll link that in the show notes.
Yeah. If you're curious about
so
about the film.
Illegally watch
but it has to be a rip from the VHS. I can't.
Horrible quality.
I won't accept, Blu-ray.
No, you don't want that.
I don't want Blu-ray Chicken Run.
Ugh. Blu-ray.
I don't
Barely
want Blu-ray
watchable.
Anything. I want potato filmed. Like filmed of a potato. I want a potato. With my chicken.
My wife can make potato bakes. I come around.
Yeah, it's just great. Yeah, man. Oh goodness.
We should wrap this up, Ross. We'll keep going for another 10 hours.
Yeah, no. Well, but thank you guys for having me waffle on.
Ben Jones, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Chicken Run.
Chicken Run.
Chicken Run. This episode of Homebrewed, the amazing episode that it was produced by my good friend Eamonn Snow. It was recorded on Darkingjung Land. And for more from us, head to www.homebrewed.au.
We did, when we were in the UK, Ethan and I, we went to Abbey Road. And of course, we had to get the iconic. And my God, I was in a really foul mood. Because I got there and it was such a tour. I didn't know what I expected. I think I was just in my head. I was in Beatle land and I'm such a Beatle head. And I got there and I was just disappointed by like all these influences. They were like doing like butt dances in front of the freaking like, I don't know. It was like really funny just seeing like this historic site and there was all these influencers doing their thing in front of it to get their shots in front of Abbey Road. And then there was a zebra crossing and everyone was trying to recreate it and it would stop traffic and then there would just be some lorry driver just losing their crap.
That was move. I was going to ask that. Is it still a functional crossing? And like, what? There's just lines of hundreds of people trying to. That would be so annoying.
Oh,
traffic nightmare.
They're so mad. It's really funny.
Do you think you just avoid that as your daily commute?
Yeah,
I think
surely
so.
you'd know at that point. But I actually have an Abbey Road story too. We went to Abbey Road in Liverpool.
Oh yeah,
which is not the Abbey Road that's famous.
Well, I wonder if
because the famous one's in London because that's where their studios are. Abbey Road Studios is in London.
Yeah,
we knew the band were from Liverpool. We were in Liverpool. We found Abbey Road. We walked like 20 minutes to get to Abbey Road.
Yeah,
we get there and we're like, where the hell's the crossing? Is it down the other end of the street? What's going on? We Googled it and we're like, it's in London.
That's so heartbreaking. But